responsibility matters here. You can help by locking your vehicle, removing the keys, securing any valuables, especially firearms. Free gun locks are available at all MMPD precincts as well as at all Metro Nashville Public Health Department clinics. MMPD is going to continue catching those breaking into cars in neighborhoods. Meanwhile, there are things we can all do to keep cars and belongings safe, including reporting criminal activity to law enforcement. If you've discovered that someone has been through your car or broken in your window, please report it to police. I know from my own experiences in my neighborhoods, police were not aware of some patterns of crime because people weren't taking the time to report it, and so we would surface those in community meetings, but it's much better when those reports go in a way that help them build the data. We're hearing a lot about fear and uncertainty right now, right here in Nashville, and it's understandable. As mayor, I want every member of this community, no matter race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, immigration status, to feel safe, confident, and welcome in Nashville, including in your interactions with law enforcement. Our community, all of our communities, should feel comfortable using basic city services and calling for help when they need it. We know confidence depends on trust, and it's why we've spent so much energy in our first 18 months shoring up our system of accountability, including creating an unprecedented MOU between our Metro Nashville Police Department and the Community Review Board. Trust is also built on understanding. MMPD operates many specialized community units so they can understand our different communities, their concerns and needs, and build trust between one another. It's why they operate the Community Police Academy, which gives a look inside how the police department operates. These are free classes. The next session will run for 12 weeks from March 4th through May 20th at the North Precinct. These usually take place on Tuesday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. To apply, you can visit Hub Nashville, hub.nashville.gov, type Community Police Academy in the search box. The application deadline is in 2 weeks, Friday, February 28th at noon. Trust also requires accountability, and we've worked hard to build accountability into the public policies that govern our public safety work, especially as it relates to the balance of privacy and safety. Our Metro Council is currently considering legislation that governs how we'll use the proposed FUSIS program. FUSIS is an efficiency tool for MMPD. It allows them to access cameras that already exist at businesses who choose to participate. When a call for service comes in, and only when a call for service comes in, MMPD notifies the camera owner and can get a picture of what's happening on the ground in real time before they arrive on the scene. This improves safety for everyone involved. It's part of why victims' rights advocates have been advocating for this. This doesn't store or create data. The ordinance is up for second reading on Tuesday, and after this policy approach is approved that has been led by Metro Council, we hope they will reconsider a contract restoring previously existing capabilities for MMPD using FUSIS and adding this new camera-based feature. Now, safety takes many forms, and I'm encouraged to see the impact our prevention work is having on the number of deaths prevented last year. Vision Zero is an initiative to end pedestrian and bike fatalities, and we saw progress with local implementations across 2024. The number of pedestrian deaths on our roads dropped to 33, down from 39 in calendar year 2023, but our goal remains 0. We'll continue to implement proven strategies to protect people walking and biking in Nashville until we reach Vision Zero. Choose How You Move will add and improve 86 miles of sidewalks and 35 miles of bikeways across the community, and will significantly support Vision Zero work, including through technology implementations and safer intersections. We also lost fewer people to suspected drug overdoses in 2024. We saw a nearly 27% drop in fatalities between 2023 and 2024, according to preliminary numbers. Fentanyl was detected in about 70% of overdose-related toxicology reports and remains the primary contributor to overdose deaths in Davidson County. Overdose reversal drugs like naloxone are helping drive the reduction of deaths from opioids like fentanyl. Naloxone is available at the Nashville Sheriff's Department, at all preventive health clinics, and the pharmacy run by the Metro Public Health Department, and through harm reduction services like STARS Nashville. And this week, MNPD installed naloxone units in entertainment venues across Nashville that work to make these important spaces safer as a result of cohesive strategies that the Office of Nightlife and the Behavioral Health and Wellness Advisory Committee, which we've reconstituted since I took office, are underway with. And importantly, we want to make sure people know that we're here for you and your loved ones. If you or someone you know is having a substance abuse crisis, you can call or text 988 to be connected to a trained counselor. You can also chat with them by visiting 988lifeline.org. We also lost fewer people experiencing homelessness in 2024. The Office of Homeless Services, working in partnership with local service providers and nonprofits, marked a 45% reduction in deaths among our unhoused neighbors in the last 2 years, dropping from 204 deaths in 2022 to 113 in 2024. This marked the lowest number of deaths in the last 5 years, which is a testament to the coordinated efforts of Metro, our local providers, and community partners, and reveals the strengths of solutions like Strobel House, which opened last year. Tonight, as temperatures dip and wet weather continues, our overflow emergency shelter will once again be open. The shelter is serving an average of 250 people a night. You can text OHS Alert to 888-777 for updates on shelter openings. The rain this weekend is expected to be heavy enough to merit flood warnings. A reminder that no matter your housing status, you can sign up for emergency alerts from our Office of Emergency Management by visiting nashville.gov/OEM. In addition to signing up for those alerts, take some time today to prepare for the event of a lot of rainfall. If you live or work in an area prone to flooding, pay close attention to the potential of rapidly rising water that could be a danger. Know possible evacuation routes and plan ahead in case roads become impassable. This looks to be likeliest in North Nashville this weekend. Build an emergency kit with flashlights, batteries, water, non-perishable food, medications, and important documents. Make sure devices are charged. Clear drains and gutters to prevent water buildup and reduce flood risk. You can also use Hub Nashville to report blockages. Do not drive through barricades and avoid flooded roads or deep ponding water. And continue to monitor NOAA, weather radio, and local news media for warnings, developments, and other important information. Metro's Office of Emergency Management, Metro Water, and other Metro agencies are in close coordination with the National Weather Service, which is a great example of how federal agencies keep people physically safe. And safety and protection also extend to the financial wellness of Nashvillians. 2 years ago, I don't know that anyone would have guessed that the price of eggs would be a significant talking point in a presidential election. In some ways, I would argue it was a key deciding factor in the race. Unfortunately, while the price of eggs has continued to rise, we've seen Republican senators say things like people want to see some broken eggs from Washington. I will say I think this is reckless rhetoric, especially while the federal government is in the process of dismantling important protections that help Americans everywhere. Take, for example, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This important agency started after the 2008 financial collapse, when millions of people saw their savings eroded, their homes foreclosed on, and their lives upended, and we've watched student debt rise. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is charged with overseeing the financial products and services used by almost every American: credit cards, checking accounts, home loans, and yes, student loans. And we've seen what happens when these products and services go unregulated. We risk the safety of Americans' financial futures when we ignore key consumer protections. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is the organization that shuts down scams, that keeps all of us from falling victim to fraud. They protect against fraudsters swindling money away from people via payment apps like Venmo or Cash App. The agency protects us from illegitimate repossessions or excessive bank fees. Without their work, banks and lenders can return fees and pitfalls to the fine print, leaving unsuspecting citizens at a greater risk. We believe these kinds of safeguards are important, and I hope the executive and legislative branches of the federal government will realize they're important to Americans broadly and work to keep the CFPB intact. We also believe access to financial tools and counseling are vital to improving quality of life and making Nashville more affordable. Fortunately, here in Nashville, anyone can get free financial counseling at the Financial Empowerment Center. The FEC over the past decade has helped more than 8,400 clients reduce their debt by $21.8 million since opening in 2013. Again, for free, it may not make many headlines, but it's the kind of life-improving service that we know makes a difference in people's lives, and we expect to be announcing strengthening that program in the months ahead. Whether you're starting out, readying for retirement, a senior member of our community, they're here for you. They can connect you to a variety of resources, financial and otherwise. Schedule your appointment now at the Empowerment Center by calling 615-748-3620 or visiting fec.nashville.gov. Finally, there's an important conversation happening just down the street I started the day today at the Nashville Conference on African American History and Culture. It's the 44th installation of one of our best Black History Month events as a city. The conference celebrates a different theme each year. This year's theme is Prismatic Revelations, African American Stories of Resilience. Resilience is being tested in so many ways, even as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. It's hard to leave this conference without a lasting impression of the number of ways that African Americans have and continue to impact Nashville. The conference tells these stories. You can find almost 200 of them on the conference website at ncaahc.org. The book that is compiled over 40 plus years of the conference includes previous profiles. So again, thank you for a lengthy series of items here, but happy to take questions. Yeah.
You talked about one example of this earlier in the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, but I was curious how much bandwidth rapidly changing federal administration takes up for a local government like ours on a daily basis.
I will say our Department of Law and related metro agencies have had considerable bandwidth consumed because of the increase in volatility of both the federal and state policy landscape over just the past few weeks. This week alone, we have been coordinating with other local institutions like Vanderbilt University Medical Center and Meharry Medical College, which have hundreds of millions of dollars at risk in pauses in NIH funding. Unfortunately, despite court orders, it is not fully apparent to us yet that metro agencies that depend on existing federal grants are finding that they have ongoing reliable access to that, and so it is a daily consumption of energy on a part of Metro. Yeah, Stephen?
Sounds like Tim Walker's not exactly thrilled about the holding of historic under planning. What's your...
I saw Tim this morning. We're committed to continuing to talk. You probably saw Councilmember Benedict filed a bill this week that is in many ways a response to bills that Darren Jernigan and our team has been tracking at the General Assembly. I would say it is clear to our legislative team that the parties that have been talking directly to the state they believe they have a clearance to pass bills that would be pretty devastating to local regulatory authority across the state of Tennessee. It's not clear to us that we could stop those bills from advancing unless we made some changes locally. And I would say this is an ongoing discussion. We continue to engage with Councilmember Benedict, parties related to not just Broadway, but property owners in multiple local overlays at the neighborhood level. And I will say I understand Tim's concerns, and also from the development services work we did that incorporated Metro Historic's activities, I also understand the concerns of people who've been frustrated with some of the interactions they've had with the department, and I think this has come to a head in a way that we're no longer able to try to resolve that conversation exclusively locally, but have to engage with the state over this as well.
Can you explain more about how the state is involved?
There are two bills, one that would seek to strip regulatory authority pretty aggressively. There is also a caption bill that we are concerned about what that might contain with an amendment later this session. Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of off the bandwidth question, and you started talking about safety. How much more does safety take up your time than what you might have thought compared to other things you want to get done beyond that?
I think we knew upon taking office, and I had known from talking to multiple previous mayors of Nashville, including Mayor Cooper, there's never really a day when safety is not a top order concern for just local government in general or the mayor's office. So I would say I came into office expecting to focus on it. We came into office, discovered some personnel changes before we were able to make offers to people. There were life circumstances that took one of our key leaders that we were hoping to retain from a community safety perspective out of the administration and in fact out of the city. We're still intent on bringing somebody to focus on crime and violence production into the mayor's office. The Office of Youth Safety was kind of a preliminary approach to that came out of last year's budget concerns. But I came into office also having already had a good relationship with Chief Drake, knowing that there would be initiatives that MMPD would want to pursue, knowing that our Metro Public Health Department was already involved in some grants, we have since secured a few more grants. We have an Office of Advancement now within the Mayor's office that we expect will continue to focus on safety. And then you hope to never need to respond to events like the Antioch High School shooting, but I would say that the magnitude of a tragedy like that does have a bandwidth effect. I know it was devastating for Dr. Battle, the principal, faculty, and staff, students, and families at Antioch High School. I think it was very hard for that community and remains very hard, and it's why we still have up on Nashville.gov today full complement of resources there. But our Office of Family Safety continues to engage in conversations with the courts and how we effectively limit gun violence and try. I mean, I think we're in that overall conversation about safety. We're trying to limit the number of victims for any kind of crime, and so that's going to continue to be a top order concern.
How much do you think the growing city, whether it's tourism or just people simply moving, living, and working here, affects sort of the police department and the stress on that and safety?
Well, I mean, I saw this for 8 years as a council member representing the entire footprint of the entertainment district. We had early conversations when the entertainment district initiative was kind of piloted before it was a kind of full-time element of the police department. There's no question that the requests for service that come from the entertainment district or the number of special events that are occurring every year now, they definitely have a demand for public safety that's an increase. So yes, certainly just basically population growth always means you're going to need more staff, but that's true for the fire department. We've had an ongoing conversation with NFD about the number of stations, their strategic planning, making sure they've got the right number of personnel. But for Nashville's destination economy, it puts a specialized pressure around every special event, and I think events like New Year's Eve in New Orleans highlight exactly why we want to be mindful of safety and preventive safeguards in all those circumstances.
And then a different part of growth is a stress on infrastructure. How much do you look at that besides, we've heard you talk about buses and sidewalks and traffic?
I would say Bob Mendez has infrastructure costs at the top of his mind just for the East Bank, and that doesn't even get to the citywide challenges. You may have seen that the Housing Division at Metro Planning and Greg Claxton have been working through a housing and infrastructure study at Council's request as we think about housing. We knew, and I knew this even from, again, my time on the Metro Council, but it continues to be true today, MDHA, as they work on projects like Casey Transformation, one of their top cost concerns is related to infrastructure. So it remains a challenge for a growing city. I'm going to go to the back, and then Steve, I'll come up to you.
How concerned are you about Metro losing funding from federal budget cuts? Are there projects in specific that you're kind of worried about?
We are concerned across a variety of domains. As we've seen cabinet level discussions in public health, we are very concerned about changes in that funding landscape. We've seen some states already shift their vaccine strategy. I think this is very concerning, especially as we see outbreaks of diseases that we have not seen in a long time. We are concerned about certainly infrastructure, particularly as it relates to transportation. There have been a lot of energy resiliency projects we've pursued, and so even things that we expected certainty around that are continuing programs, we're concerned about that. We're very concerned about education funding. There have been discussions about dramatic changes to the Federal Department of Education and how those funding flows work. Our finance and legal departments are working closely with Metro Schools to try to assess the total level of financial risk, but this comes back to that question about capacity. Doing that risk analysis right now is just, it's a new challenge on capacity. Steve?
You mentioned the CRB MOU, kind of be proud of that. There's a sexual harassment policy that the department and the CRB have not come to terms with, and it seems like it's dragging out for months and months. Can you update on the status of that?
Yeah, we just got preliminary results from Metro HR. I had intentionally asked them to review it to kind of see what they recommended, how it reconciled with policies already in place in MMPD. We also have Metro Law reviewing it. I think they're taking the HR findings and looking at it. There were a few things in the recommendations from CRB that we were pretty certain early on may be kind of beyond our purview legally to implement. Some things already seem to be in place, but I will say that review is ongoing, and we do expect to be able to have not only a full response to CRB, but recommendations about changes to implement.
Certain things, for example.
Well, one of the things was related to if you saw a sexual assault scenario in the recommendations, it looked like they wanted to recommend things that may not be possible in the criminal legal response to that. Like, you may be required under the law to do a certain thing that is inconsistent with the recommendation, and so we wanted law to review that with district attorney input and MMPD input and the court's input. Yeah.
I'm wondering if the conversations with TPOC are still happening about property in East Bank, and just if you have concerns that they will find somewhere else.
I guess I would say it this way. We're still very interested in working with TPAC. We have shared that interest with them. We're still exploring that. I would say from the city standpoint, we're first and foremost very excited that the state has made a significant investment, including reinforced in the governor's proposed budget for a state-of-the-art performing arts center. I think our team was impressed with the initial TPAC case that they made, and we gave them kind of first right of refusal for a preferred parcel on the East Bank, knowing that it was the most complicated and expensive in terms of infrastructure. But TPAC, as of the development agreement last year, seemed comfortable enough with that to engage in an MOU with us. So we're hoping to find with TPAC a pathway that allows them to be on the East Bank if that's where they want to be. If organizationally they determine they've got a better deal somewhere else, we will continue to work with them and other partners to make sure that's successful.
What's the backup plan for that site?
I can tell you clearly that Fallon would be interested in developing that parcel. I mean, it was in the initial development area, but effectively what happened was we offered TPAC first right of refusal, and they more or less outbid Fallon on the case that they made for a willingness to share in infrastructure costs.
Anything else? Yeah,
One more?
you talked about Vision Zero a little bit. Over the years, we've seen a lot of cities put, whether it's a permanent bus lane or something, using taxpayer dollars to pay for a change like that on a road. And we've actually seen a couple cities remove some of those. How do you try to avoid, wasting taxpayer dollars when we're going to see some of these changes in Nashville?
I don't think safety-based infrastructure is wasteful. I think some cities may be making political choices that are not evidence-based, and we're going to encourage our designers and engineers to follow the evidence that is safety-forward. I think that is always good taxpayer spending. Steve?
I want to follow up real quick about the OD that's going down. The naloxone has been preferred by first responders. Do we have any sort of tracking on how much naloxone has been administered by first responders over the last year?
That's a good question. I don't know if we have a consolidated list across, because I know NFD, MMPD, Office of Nightlife, and then certainly the places that it's been installed, MPHD. I think there has been deployment across all those, but happy to follow up with you to see if we've got, I'm guessing if we have it already, our Office of Performance Management may have those details, but we'll get you that answer. Yep.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.